support and help people. And let's get into sharing everything because, especially in today's day and age with the pandemic going on, I'm sure so many people are in different kind of need than they might have been 3 months ago.
That's right. We're living in a different world, Marla. And it's really interesting how we need to make that shift. And especially when there's so much fear-based thinking in the world. And I always feel that the light bearers are the ones that shine the light into that darkness and not only absorb that darkness, then what it does is penetrates it and eventually illuminates it. And so as we stand in that light, and this is the easiest thing in the world to talk about. I mean, you hear about all of the new thought teachers and all the books and all of the seminars and workshops, but to embody it so that we are the living embodiment of peace, the peace that it's all inclusive beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and I added political affiliation, that oneness lives and moves and has its being at the center of our lives. And what I would like to do for our viewing and listening audience today is I would like to set the tone. This is a chant from the Gandhi Foundation, and I do it with these little Tibetan symbols. And these symbols actually resonate to the heart chakra. And in the ancient Sanskrit, a chakra means a wheel of spinning energy in a clockwise fashion. We have 7 major chakras within this body temple. And of course, we hear a lot about the third eye, and to open the third eye so that we can see through the appearances, the conditions, and the effects that show up in life that we are so tempted to give our power away to. So as I set this tone today, I invite you to actually repeat after me. And if you don't feel comfortable doing that, or you feel you're not in a position to do that, you can just silently, as I make these declarations into the law of mind from the Gandhi Foundation, and it was originally sent to me during the Harmonic Convergence in 1987. I was going to be presenting at the United Nations University for Peace in Costa Rica. So someone sent me a crystal bowl. Now we see crystal bowls and people are toning them and they're having crystal bowl concerts. In 1987, they were unheard of. And someone sent it to me and I thought it really was a salad bowl. And then as I read on, this was a quartz crystal bowl resonating to the heart chakra. And remember that the heart is the seat of the soul. And that as we open that heart energy, that's where we connect with compassion and forgiveness. So as I tone the Tibetan bells, and make these declarations, just feel free to identify with me, just say them to yourself or audibly, whatever works for you. We'll begin with the energy of, I offer you peace. I offer you friendship. I offer you love. I see your beauty. I hear your needs. I feel your feelings. My wisdom flows from a higher source. I salute that source in you. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. Come, let us work together. And now we call on the angels, the archangels, and all enlightened beings to cleanse, purify, harmonize, balance, attune, and heighten the energy field. We know that that which needs to be healed is healed, that which needs to be revealed is revealed, that which needs to be known is known, and that which needs to be released is released, quickly, gently, and with grace. For eye hath not seen, nor ear heard, neither hath entered into the heart of man and woman the things which our higher power has prepared for us, for those that love. And so it is, and I say namaste, that we have set the tone today, and we really welcome this energy of light that is so very, very needed. And I want to acknowledge Marla for doing this work. This is a lot of work, and it's not without its stresses as well. So we have cleansed and purified, harmonized and balanced so that we can be ready for you. So Marla, I salute you and I honor you.
Oh,
I'm happy to be here.
thank you. I'm so honored and grateful that you're here with us today because, after our other interview, I just can't speak highly enough about, our resonance together and how we communicate and how we connect. And I'm just so grateful for our souls re-meeting again,
Yes,
as this is not
reuniting,
our first
not
time.
first time meeting. See, and these resonances are amazing, aren't they? Because we've known each other many lifetimes. So it's not a first time meeting. It's a joyful reunion of souls who have walked the path many, many lifetimes. And I really feel that with you. And I just love our Facebook community as well, because
Yes.
I've met so many of them traveling, that have hosted me. And it's just that glorious reuniting of souls that have walked the path many, many lifetimes.
It is, and it's a reunion.
It is a
It's
reunion.
a definite reunion of souls.
It is.
So, Sharon, let's talk about the relationship between science and religion,
Good.
because I think there's a lot of confusion about
Yeah,
that.
Einstein said that science without religion is lame and religion without science is blind. And we know that there, in our teaching, I went through the Ernest Holmes Seminary. Ernest Holmes was the founder of Science of Mind, religious science, not to be confused with Scientology. Religious science, the laws of science, okay, the opinions of philosophy, the revelations of religion applied to human need and the aspirations of every living soul. So there is a cause and effect relationship in the universe that we have. Behind every effect that's in the outer world, there was a cause in mind. Now, first cause is God. Whatever you conceive your God to be, whatever name you put on your higher power, it does not matter, because it's about spirituality that transcends religion. Religion is man-made.
Yes.
Spirituality, we came in with spirituality. We're all spiritual beings. And so as we recognize that we have secondary causes and we have effects. And when we take responsibility, and let's remember, the twin of responsibility is freedom. When I take responsibility for my life and what's showing up, then I know that there is an opening, and I am now so free from looking outside myself and assigning blame and all of the things that we do when we're in situations that we just don't work for us. We think, how could I be me and in this position? It's really fascinating how that works, because we all have feet of clay. And what that means is we're all here to learn, to grow, and to evolve. And I don't care how evolved anyone is, the greatest guru on the planet, are learning and growing and unfolding. Mother Teresa said she used to wake up every day and she would address the little Hitler within her and dissolve that energy so that love could be the strongest power that was motivating her. So if Mother Teresa, I mean, let's be
Right,
real here.
exactly.
Mother Teresa could get up and say, I'm going to address the little Hitler within me. We know we all have work to do. And we chose to be here at this time for such a time as this. We chose to be here. And when we take responsibility for that, the door of freedom opens and our universe becomes so magnificent and large. And then when things come in, I mean, you know that I'm a widow. I was widowed at 32 years old. I had a 7-year-old to raise. I was in my first year of the ministry. All the wonderful congregation that were with me, suddenly all the women thought I was going to steal their husbands, and they quit coming, and there was all this kind of fear. And I went through this really dark night of the soul. I have lost my husband, my soulmate, the love of my life. And then I had all of these other things, that bubbled up, that strengthened me, that allowed me to see through the appearance, the conditions of fear-based thinking, the effects that occur when we buy in to these outer things. So when our daughter was 3 days old, Marla, and we took her home, and I heard the phone ring, and they said, this is Dr. Phillips from Kaiser, and your husband is in stage 4 cancer. And I was looking at Neil, who's 6'4" and magnificent. And in those days, this was Tricia was born in 1969. So in those days, Kaiser made mistakes and they would, confuse records. And I said, I am looking at my husband here and he is in magnificent health. And he said, oh, I'll take it in the other room. Now, I never, ever heard my husband ever use any kind of language. And I heard him yell at the doctor and say, God damn it, I told you not to call here for 1 week. My wife just had a baby. And he hung up. And then he came into the other room and I'm like, what is going on? And he looked down in that cradle at this 3-day-old baby. And he said, I have too much to live for. I know that I'm going to move through this. I know that I have a destiny to fulfill. So he went on for 7 years after being diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And he passed away in 7/11/77. So energetically, it allowed me to go to a place, a deep, deep place within me, because I was raised in domestic violence. My sister committed suicide. So I knew what that pain and that suffering and that hurt was. And she chose one path of alcoholism and addiction. I chose spirituality. And whenever I would go to court, she would, she'd do unbelievable stuff like sell marijuana to narc agents, and she'd wind up, in jail.
Yes.
So I would go to court and I would address the judge and I would say, my sister is a product of her environment. She was raised in domestic violence and never really recovered. And every single judge that I ever went before had one singular question, and that was, you are her sister. Why aren't you that way? And I said, because I knew I had a choice. And I made a different choice and I chose spirituality. And I was a minister at this time. I was a minister at 30 years old, so I looked like I was 15. And so they would just shake their head and they would then entrust her into my care, because the penal system is not about rehabilitation, unfortunately,
Right.
at this stage of the game in our society.
Yeah,
And she'd be really great for a while and then she'd have those demons and she just couldn't face her demons and eventually, took her own life. But we all, I feel for each and every one of us. And if you're viewing us at this time, if you're listening in at this time, this message is for you. That the moment of enlightenment is the moment that we know that we have a choice. Choose thee this day whom you will serve. God, life, truth, beauty, peace, love, wisdom, or the ego. We are at choice every single day of our lives. And when we make a higher choice, and I always say, and whenever I have felt the rug pulled out from under me, I've always landed on higher ground. We need to know that for ourselves. So when we look at the scientific laws of the universe, that it's cause and effect, what we put into the law of mind is returned unto us tenfold. And that biblical verse, God is not mocked, be not deceived, as you sow, so shall ye reap. So when we are conscious of that, and remember that the throat center, this is a power center. And this power center, we speak things into existence. We speak things into creation. That this power center decree a thing and it is established unto us. And that which we utter becomes the outer. So we need to be very mindful about conscious languaging. And the more conscious we are, the more we speak things into existence on a much higher plane, a much higher vibratory frequency. So in doing this work, and Marla, this is your ministry. I mean, you are hosting all of us who are in the world, and yet we've chosen a higher way. We've chosen a higher way to view things. And yesterday was Earth Day. And, I'm so reminded of Chief Seattle, who said, we did not weave the web of life. We are merely a strand on it. What is done to the web is particularly done to each strand. So with great unconditional positive regard, I honor you. I salute you. That place in us, if I'm in that place in me, and you are in that place in you,
yes,
there is only one of us.
it's true. Sharon, I hate to break us up at this point because this is such amazing information, but we have a break to take. We'll be talking more with Dr. Sharon Stroud on the other side. Stick with us.
Okay, good. We're all clear.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you,
Oh,
Matt.
that was, I used to go to a New Thought church back in the 90s. And yeah, and then I moved and there was nothing near me, but
Right.
it's such, I do so resonate with the beliefs and the words and the messages you're sharing.
Yeah, the universal message. And I told you I went independent from the United Church of Religious Science in 1989 because I no longer fit in that box. And now, as I see the ministers that are coming up, much more open. I used to get phone calls saying, "Oh, we understand you're facilitating the Course in Miracles and you're not teaching science of mind." And I said, "Well, Dr. Ernest Holmes said we're open at the top. We're open at the top. So we take our good wherever we find it. Religious science is a accumulation of all the great beliefs of all the great religions. This is what drew me to it, is that whole principle of oneness." And so I could see, and it's the petty jealousies that go on in organizations and all of that. And
Right. Well,
so I
even
just
just
made,
in metaphysicians, they think that everybody's a competitor, and it's
yes,
like, no, there's enough for all of us. We
there
don't
is,
have to backstab to step on each other because there's plenty of people out there. There's
there
billions and
are.
billions of people. People
And
who resonate with you, we're going to resonate with you.
exactly, by right of consciousness, not competition, right?
Exactly.
It's all a
Yeah.
mutual cooperation. Yeah.
It is. And I love this because it's like I'm just hearing you sort of like slap me back with my belief systems in a more articulate and graceful way. And
Oh,
it's just,
yes.
I just could listen to you all day. I can just say,
I appreciate that.
and
I only heard that one other time when I was presenting in England, and the director, Dr. Nicholas Law, he came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh my goodness, I could have listened all day." And I extended my hand, and to shake his hand, and goes, "Oh no, I want a hug," It
All
was
right, sorry to interrupt, but we are just about to come back.
Thanks, Matt.
You're listening to
abbreviate
Guided Spirit
your,
Conversations.
intro just
To
a
reach
little bit,
Marla
if you don't
Goldberg
mind.
or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for sticking around. And if you've just tuned in, I am sitting here in this amazing glow of energy with Dr. Sharon Stroud. Dr. Sharon Stroud is a spiritual leader, professional speaker, and an author. She has served the New Thought movement for 44 years as a spiritual leader and serves as the spiritual leader of Interfaith Spiritual Center worldwide in Palm Springs, California. I'm going to just bring her back because there's so much great conversation and her messages. But one thing I'm going to put out there is I do invite you to call in and ask Sharon a question, because the answer you get will be the answer that we all need to hear. So 888-346-9141. Oh, welcome back, Sharon.
Thank you. It's a joy to be back.
Always a joy. So as we were talking about the last quote I'm losing it. I was like so like in the moment, but you were doing that. But let's talk about peace, because you are a peace minister. You are a humanitarian. How does one obtain peace, especially now with what's going on? If you can share any tidbits on the ways people can get grounded and feel more peaceful in this uncertain time.
And it is a really, really interesting time. The ancient ones never cursed anyone, Marla. They only wished them an interesting life. And our lives can become very interesting, can't they? Amazingly so. And that has a connotation that goes either way, right? I'm not going to curse you. I'm just going to wish you a really interesting life.
Absolutely.
And so when Jesus, who became the Christ, said, "My peace I give to you, my peace I leave with you. Not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. You believe in God, believe also, and he said, in me. And he was not talking about his personality. He was talking about Christ consciousness. So when we look at the Buddha nature, the heart of compassion, and Buddha's whole message, man, woman is the result of all that they have thought. And then, you know, all the great teachings that have talked about peace and doing unto others as you would have them do unto you. And that, you know, if you go to Israel, it's about, you know, shalom, the peace that is within us. When I was presenting in India, and I was presenting to 10,000 in the audience, and I said, which I do every Sunday, but here I'm presenting in India, and I said, namaste. And to have the resonation and the echo of namaste in that auditorium was tear evoking. And I had to really kind of get a hold of myself because I felt it. I honor that place in you where the whole universe resides. I honor that place in you of peace, of love, of wisdom. And if I am in that place in me and you are in that place in you, there truly is only one of us. So as we stay grounded and centered, whatever, you know, whatever persuasion, whatever religious culture we're from, but in that spiritual place of peace, that we can be so firmly grounded in the peace that nothing and no thing disturbs our peace of mind. And we can sit and sit for 2 minutes, light a candle and just peace, peace, breathing in peace, breathing out peace, breathing in peace, breathing out peace. That I am peace, right? Yes. And especially when we're hit in the solar plexus, because we have every emotion that we have ever experienced is stored in our solar plexus. Yes. So that's why I cleanse, purify, you know, the energy field when I'm doing my meditation work. And so when we free ourselves of the fear that we've held on to, frozen emotions that we've held on to, when we free ourselves from that and we fill the energy center with light, and as we feel that light, it moves us to be in the world, to live, to love, to laugh, to express, to go about our daily round. But we're of a higher vibratory frequency. And when we know that we're in the world to live out our lives, to fulfill our dharma, our destiny, but of a higher spiritual recognition, something so powerful happens to us. And we're not the same. You know, it's like, Marla, here's, you know, we'll visualize in my right hand an apple and in my left hand an orange. And now I'm going to put the orange in my right hand and the apple in my left hand. That's called a change, okay?
Yes.
But when I bite into the apple and it tastes like an orange, that is a transformation. We look the same in the outer, but something has shifted within us at such an amazing degree. And we are not the same. And I've seen my own evolution. You know, I came into this way of life in my 20s. And I was actually in taking Science of Mind 2, I was pregnant with my daughter. And so, you know, she was getting it by osmosis and raised in this way of life from the very beginning. And so as we grow and evolve and you know, in my own evolution, things I used to react to, that as I was doing my work and I was breathing in peace and breathing out peace, doing my spiritual treatments, and a spiritual treatment is a positive prayer of alignment where we are speaking our word into the law of mind, recognizing that it returns in full-blown expression of that which we have sent forth, that it's already an accomplished fact in mind. Ours is to awaken to the truth that sets us free to be who and what we are. So as I was growing spiritually, and I had a lot of forgiveness work to do with my father, who was an abusive, violent alcoholic. And it was a terrible, our childhood was terrible. And we never knew, you know, we never knew when he was going to explode or when he would come home.
She was going to drop, yeah.
Right, exactly. And so when I was in San Diego, and our congregation, we had 3,000 people coming every week. I was on major TV, I was on radio, and he happened to tune in, and there I was, and he lived in Venice, California, in the LA County. And there I was. I mean, his daughter, you know, who he said would never amount to anything. There she was on TV and speaking in an articulate way he could understand. And interestingly enough, the following Sunday was Father's Day. And I was giving 3 services, and I was on my 3rd service. And we were just going right into the service, the order of service. And my vocal soloist was there. My pianist was there. Her name was Tess, and she was a chain smoker, but she was such a spiritual old gal, and she was amazing. And we were very, very close. And I thought I saw, you know, at the very back, I mean, with the sea of faces, my father. I was so thrown because we had been alienated for so many years and estranged. I was so thrown that instead of doing all the nice little solos, vocal solo and prayers and all the things that we did, you know, before my presentation, I went right into my presentation. And then as I looked over at Tess, she went like this, and I looked, and we still had 30 minutes to go. And I said, what has happened here? And I said, you know what happened? I really thought at the very, very back of our beautiful sanctuary, I saw my father. And so I started walking down the aisle, and I said, is that my father in the back row? And he shook his head, no. And in those days, you know, I had the handheld mic, and the cord
only went so far.
only went so far. So I got like halfway down the aisle, and I dropped it, and I said, well, you look so much like my father. And I kept walking. And of course it was my father. And I said, this is my father, ladies and gentlemen. And they know the history because I'm very open about my life. I feel like self-disclosure leads to other people's healing, that they know that you have healed this situation. Self-disclosure to me is authentic, it's genuine. People resonate to these self-disclosures. And so I embraced him, and I just started sobbing, you know, kind of uncontrollably, what Oprah calls the ugly cry. And he did too. There was not a dry eye in that sanctuary. It was such a healing of the past. And afterward, he came to Coronado, and he said, and a lot of you have not received the apology, but just know that energetically you have. But he sat and he cried, and he said, I've done so much, so many horrible things. I know I was an SOB, and he just started sobbing and sobbing, but can you ever forgive me? Do I have to be crucified the rest of my life? And I said, you know, Daddy, I wouldn't be who I am without those experiences. Neither do I need to repeat them, right? So we wouldn't be who we are, and we also do not have the need to repeat them. Right. And there was such a healing. And so my daughter, who knew my father as the most loving grandfather on the planet, can't even relate to what we went through with him and his wife battering us, and you know, all of the things. She can't even relate to any of that because he transformed. We bit into the apple and it tastes like an orange. There was a transformation, and all of that stuff that I had carried, you know, it dissolved in the twinkling of an eye. So I want you to know that forgiveness is the first step. If you want real peace, then we have to do our forgiveness work. And sometimes things bubble up and we say, oh, I thought that I had taken care of that. I return it to its native nothingness from whence it came. I release it with love. And as we do this, because we're all part of the human condition, we're all here together. It's a shared humanity. What occurs for one occurs for all. In fact, I have a friend that she put something about the Holocaust on Facebook, and never again. And I wrote back, I said, never again. It was a collective wound that is still being healed. And when I was a little girl, 5 years old, I was in, we called it the little store. We used to walk to the little store. I lived in the San Fernando Valley. And I saw a man, and he had numbers on the inside of his wrist. I'm 5 years old. So this is why I really do believe in reincarnation. I said, were you in the concentration camp too? And my mother looked at me and he said, how does a little girl like you know about concentration camps? And I said, I think I was there too. I was 5 years old.
Wow.
So energetically, what occurs for one happens for all, and the all and the one. So as humanity, when we create critical mass, she sees somebody, we're talking about peace here, okay?
Yes.
We're
So I
talking,
like to say, forgiveness is a gift you give yourself.
it is.
You
It really
has
is.
nothing to do with letting anybody off the hook and letting their bad behavior rule everything. It's about, the gift you give yourself, because it unburdens you. It takes the weight of everything
It
off your
takes
shoulders.
the weight, the burden. You have freedom, and there's a lightness that occurs, and then you create the space for beautiful manifestations. See, unforgiveness blocks what we're about,
Yes.
and forgiveness opens the space to allow that energy to come forth in such a miraculous way. And it is miraculous when
It is.
finally
Things
live.
that come to you that are just, you would never ever have imagined the beauty and the wondrous things that come to you.
Exactly, because
Yeah.
it is miraculous. And I feel that this way of life is miraculous. And not that we don't go through the human condition and we have stuff come up in our lives, but we deal with it differently. And we deal with it on a solution level, rather being in the problem, it's the solution level. And then we take it up to that higher vibratory frequency and create the space for resolution. And if we're so involved in the problem, that creates so much bondage and blockage in our lives, so that we're not receiving the manifestations of the peace that we seek. Be the peace that we seek. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, and allow that to unfold.
And it's our divine right to receive the miracles of life. So why do, move the human condition out and open the gates and allow one to receive all that they desire, need, and want to live the life they're divinely meant to live.
Exactly. And deserve.
Yeah,
and really deserve.
Yeah. So I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I did want to get that piece.
I love your comments, and I love that resonation of energy.
Thank you. It's just so amazing. Let's talk about how in this time, in all time, being in the present moment, being mindful of what's going on around you, how vital and important it is for growth and also release.
Exactly. We're told that the point of power is always in the present moment. So that's our point of power. There's a little poem, My Name is I Am. I do not live in the past. My name is not I was. My name is I am. When you live in the future, my name is not I will be. My name is I am. When you live in the future, I am not there. My name is I am. But when you live in the present, I am there. My name is I am. So when we're in the past, energetically, that does not serve us. That's just a repeat of an experience, and we're going to repeat it if we don't heal it. If we're living in the past, that does not serve. We've got to let that go. And it's so amazing, because life is filled with contractions and expansions, right?
Absolutely.
And so, we contract, we expand, we contract, we expand. Buddha said that life is like hands clapping. So I've got it. Oh, I am enlightened. I've got, oh my God, where did it go? I've got it. I don't. I've got it. I don't. I've got it. I don't. So life is like hands clapping. We've got it. We're there. But then, life is a spiral. We need to grow. We need to evolve. We need to expand. Life is a spiral. And with each new revolution of change, before we get to that new place on the spiral, there is disorientation. So part of that human condition is acknowledging, yes, we may have moments of disorientation, and that's all part of the process of unfoldment. And as we unfold, as we evolve, as we expand into a larger view, the world expands with us. And it again, It's about that cause and effect relationship. It's about that growth. And when we live in the present moment, life responds to that, because the present moment, the eternal moment, as the Course in Miracles states, the holy instant is really all that there is. I remember I was shopping one time and I was in the grocery store, and I had my, 15 or less things, but I noticed the woman in front of me, she just had her cart filled with things. Now, this is a small thing, but I'm standing there thinking, oh yeah, right. 15 or less. I'm looking at my watch and she's got her cart filled. She got up to the cashier and the cashier said, and which 15 things did you want me to ring up? I said, there is a God. Hallelujah. It was so hysterical in that moment. And the look on the woman's face, like, this didn't work. I wanted to break the rules. It didn't work. No, the universe is watching you, honey. And, these little moments in time when we're, here I was kind of thinking of a future time, and I've got appointments, and she, got her cart filled. And in that instant, it all shifted.
It did.
Because
Oh my
joy
God.
is the most infallible sign of the presence of God.
So
Those
true.
moments of joy, they lighten up the whole energy field. So living in the present moment, what else is there? There's only this moment, right?
That's where you feel the
That's all
joy.
we have.
And we're going to talk more about this when we come back, but we have one more break to go. So stick around. Thank you,
Wonderful.
Sharon.
Yes.
All right, great job. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
Thank you. Oh, I just love the conversation. I love because it just resonates and it affects so many. And I'm seeing the ripples as you're talking. I see the ripples going out and people going, oh, because I think a lot of times people hear things and they don't understand how to bring it to them. I was one of them, because back in the 90s when I was going through some really challenging times, I had Marianne Williamson, I had Dr. Wayne Dyer, I had Deepak. They were there. I couldn't wrap my mind around what the concept was they were sharing.
Right.
And,
right.
at the time I needed to, I thought I needed it then, but when I really needed it, then it came through. I obviously wasn't ready at the moment.
That's right. It's a psychological thing. It's like we're receiving the knowledge. We just haven't embodied it yet. We know the words, but we don't quite have the music. And so it's a process. It's an evolutionary process that once it reaches, the longest journey on the planet, and I'll talk about this when we go back, but is the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart. So, we can intellectualize and hypothesize and theorize, but until it hits the heart center, we don't materialize, right? We're not, there's no realization there. There's no sense of, I've got it. And especially in those moments when we need it.
It's so true. But it's like when they say, okay, I'm losing it, but when the time is right, the teacher comes. Or
yes, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And Buddha is the one that said that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm terrible with quotes and cliches. I always screw them up, but they're well intended.
Oh, and they come through beautifully. With so much love.
You're so generous. Thank you.
No, I'm serious.
I try. That's the only thing I can do.
15 seconds.
Thank you.
You are listening to Guided Spirit Conversations. To reach Marla Goldberg or her guest today, you're invited to call in to the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. If you'd rather send an email, the address is guidedspiritconversations@gmail.com. Now, back to this week's program.
Well, we're back. And if you've been listening to Dr. Sharon Stroud, we still have some more amazing conversation. But if you're just tuning in, Dr. Sharon Stroud is my guest today. And Dr. Stroud is a spiritual leader of the Interfaith Center worldwide in Palm Springs. She has been a spiritual leader for over 44 years. And in addition, she's a professional speaker and an author. And she does so much. And if you want to get in touch with Dr. Stroud, you can find her at www.interfaithworldwide.com, or you can find her on Facebook at www.facebook.com/Sharon with 2 R's .Stroud.9. So welcome, Sharon. Welcome
Thank
back.
Thank you.
We're going to
Great
start
be
this
back.
segment with charity shout out. And because you have a ministry, because you have your spiritual center, I'm going to just leave it to you to talk about where needs could be felt and how people can get in touch with you and what you might be offering.
Thank you. And I was sharing with Marla that since the lockdown 5 weeks ago now, this will be our 5th Sunday, that we have no way of really receiving a physical offering. So all of our virtual community and our community that comes on Sundays have been sending in their tithes and love offerings, but we do a lot in our community. I mean, I've been here 18 years where we have given great amounts to Well in the Desert, feeding the homeless, to Shelter in the Storm for women of domestic violence. I mean, we do have our own outreach programs, even though we are a 501c3 charity, in quotes, spiritual organization. And we teach these principles. And there's an old saying, if you give a man bread, you feed him for a day. If you teach him how to plant, you feed him for a lifetime. We teach these universal principles of life that allow us to become self-sufficient, take responsibility for our lives, and be in the world to make a difference, because we're not just in the world to make a living. We're in the world to make a difference. And I don't care if you're a cashier at the grocery store, or perhaps you know, in the days when, in fact, in Oregon, they still have people who pump gas, that when there is a light in the eyes, there is beauty in the soul, and it is absolutely contagious. So our spiritual center, we were actually voted in 2012 best places of worship, and we're all inclusive. I mean, our God is an all-inclusive God that moves beyond color, race, creed, sexual orientation, and political affiliation. That we have no creed but love. Love one another as I have loved you. And we have no doctrine but the golden rule. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. So that, you know, it draws the largest circle. And when we draw the largest circle, it's all. We include all. So thank you so much for allowing me to share this. And our Wednesday night live, we, you know, used to rent a facility, and we would have speakers come in. And my Wednesday night live is at the Rose of Sharon Sanctuary living room, which you are viewing me right now. We also do our Sunday services here, and you can tune in. We have a video library on the Interfaith Spiritual Center Palm Springs on Facebook, and there's a video library. And Marla and I were just discussing the Easter service that was presented here at the Rose of Sharon Sanctuary, and music from Jesus Christ Superstar in Godspell, and very uplifting. It was a beautiful service, and those of us who, Reverend Perry and Fleet Easton, who is the Crown Prince of Palm Springs, as our vocal soloist, and myself, 3 of us present the service, and it's a virtual service, and we do this every Sunday. And then every Wednesday night, I present from a theme, a topic. Last night was the grace of wisdom, where we really talked about wisdom. So yes, we're doing a good work, and I feel that we're making a difference, and we would love for you to participate.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I hope you all have gotten this information, but if not, it'll be on our site, so you can find Dr. Sharon Stroud and all of her services that you can tune into at the
Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide.
Interfaith Spiritual Center Worldwide. And oh my God, if you haven't just like loved her from listening to everything Sharon has shared with us today, and there's so much more, because we're so much more. And we have so many more experiences that we really need a way to maneuver through life. And
so true.
You and your organization are perfect to help be that guide. And you don't have to be in Palm Springs to be able to reach out to Sharon.
That's
so,
right. That's
and
right.
she's open and she's expansive. And what she's showing you here is just a small bit of who she truly is.
Thank you.
You know, your magnificence is huge. And
I'm so pleased I can serve as your reflection, Marla.
Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so
No,
much.
serious.
So we were talking before we left about your supermarket experience, but how spirit divinely intervenes at certain times.
Yes, yes, exactly. And we were just discussing on the break that we make the longest journey on the planet.
Yes.
It's the 18-inch journey from the head to the heart, because these principles are the easiest principles in the world to really, you know, we can theorize and hypothesize and you know, put it out there in just the most knowledgeable way. But until it reaches the heart, it is hollow. We have to embody it. So when it reaches the heart, we embody it. We live from this space, this energy of knowing that spirit goes before us and prepares the way as we become a lamp unto our own feet, drawing others into our light and our energy field, so that everyone and anyone who comes within our energy field is healed and uplifted in our presence. And you know that there are people, they enter a room and you know they're there.
Yes.
They carry such a light and an energy and a joy, remembering that joy is the most infallible sign of the presence of God. Whatever we conceive our God to be, whatever name we put on our higher power, it does not matter. But to acknowledge that which is within each and every one of us, that is the energy of the universe. And it's within each and every one of us. This is why I love this way of life, is that every day is a new day, and that we can choose peace instead of what just came into the energy field that doesn't look like peace. We can choose joy. We can choose
Nonviolence.
beauty, right?
Yes. Beauty, nonviolence. There's so many amazing things we can do that would support and lift us rather than try to squash us and pull us down.
That's right, through the fear. And
Yes.
it's really interesting because there's an ancient parable, and it was about the angel of the presence, that she was standing there on the precipice of a beautiful mountain, and she saw the angel of death come through, and she said, oh, brother angel, where are you going? And he said, I'm going to Benares. And she said, oh, well, Godspeed. And time went by, and the angel of death came through again. And the angel of the presence said, brother angel, you said that you were only going to take 50 from Benares, and you took 50,000. What happened? He said, I did take 50. Fear took the rest.
I just got goosebumps. That's an amazing
Fear
story.
took the rest, right?
Yes.
And so that's why we need to keep our spiritual equanimity and shift the scales in favor of spirituality, shift the scales in favor of peace, shift the scales in favor of kindness. I mean, when, you know, we have choices. And if you have a choice of being right or being kind, choose kindness and you will always be right. Think about it.
True.
You will always be right. And the Course in Miracles states, would you rather be right or happy? You know, and but if we choose kindness, we will always be right.
And you can't ever give too much kindness.
It's so
there just
true.
is no such thing as too much kindness.
And if people are, you know, you feel that people are disrespectful or they're not acting out of their highest self, send compassion. It has nothing to do with us. They're projecting on us.
Yes.
They're projecting their own sadness, their own hurt, their own grief,
Their own fear.
whatever they're experiencing, they're projecting outward. So when we send compassion and light, I mean, you may not feel loving, so send compassion and light, right? Energetically, you're going to neutralize the energy field. And we've all had these experiences, each and every one of us. And we just, you know, I use it as a trigger rather than reacting, to just send light and compassion. Because we all have high energy days and lower energy days. And the high energy days are wonderful and all's right with the world and everything's unfolding and everything works. And then we have those days when nothing does. So for me, that's a trigger to just get on my slant board, my slant cushion, and just, let go of the laws of gravity for a moment and recreate the energy field, renew the energy field, regenerate the energy field. Because, sometimes we sleep well and we get up and it's wonderful, and other times we don't.
Right.
And it just to have compassion for ourselves as well, and to give ourselves what we need. And sometimes the best medicine truly is to go within and just let it all go and breathe into it, take a little break, and then go back to it with a renewed energy. And, we all relate to computer issues, and we find out who we are, don't we?
We
Through these
certainly
issues.
do.
Yeah.
It's so funny. Oh,
is.
Dr. Sharon Stroud, I am so grateful for you, this conversation. I'm grateful for you being here today. I hope this isn't the first and last time. I hope we'll have
Oh,
more
I
visits
love
with
being
you.
with you. No, I want to come back again and again. It's
Oh,
just been great.
I love it too. Thank you so much.
You are
And
so welcome.
oh, and I want
It's
to
been a
thank,
joy. It's
thank
been a
you.
joy.
Oh,
Yeah.
every conversation I have with you is just more and more uplifting, and it just reminds me of things that, yes, I do feel this way, and I'm just now remembered to incorporate it in, or just tweak something I'm already doing and give it another go.
Yes, it is. It's stimulating that energy within your heart, and then it all opens up for you. And I think we go through a process of remembering who we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so please feel free to reach out to Dr. Sharon Stroud with any questions or comments. And if you can find her at the interfaithworldwide.com. So
Wonderful.
you'll be able to contact her through there. I want to thank everyone at Voice America for all you do to get this show going and up and running and perfect. I want to thank Teresa Scott and Reed, my assistant, my right arm, my left arm, and welcome Angelique Wiesman. Welcome to the team. And I want to thank you out there for taking the time out of your day and out of your life to be a part of this podcast, because without you, well, we need you.
Yes.
So until the next time, I send you love, I send you blessings, and I send you gratitude. Stay well, stay happy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're all clear.
Thank you.
Yay, wonderful.
This is good.